Good day and welcome. Matthew here again, back with a daily race from a few weeks ago after a bit of a short break away from making videos on YouTube. This time we're at Tokyo Expressway East Outer Loop in the Group 4 cars, and I picked the NSX for this one. I had done quite a few races with the Ferrari, so I wanted to try something different. I gave the NSX a go, and I found it very familiar actually. It's got a bit more turning than the Ferrari, a bit better in the corners, but not quite as fast in the straight line. So let's see how we go in the draft battles on this one. I had a few races with these top three guys, and so we're kind of getting used to how we were driving. But I then tried taking advantage of a mistake from the third place driver, and I paid dearly for my eagerness. I'll go back and show you sort of how that happened. So, as you're probably aware, going into the first corner on the first lap is always dangerous. You're defending from the slipstream behind and trying to attack ahead. I just stick to my right, take a nice inside line, and I see Umami East go a bit wide, and then he goes wide in this corner. I see him go so wide that I start putting the power down. He hits the wall on the outside with his funny line, and because I had put the power down to get past him so, I guess suddenly, I pushed wide, and when he bounced off the wall, he hit my front tyres and I spun out. So that was pretty unfortunate, and not the place you want to be on this track. I have to let two guys through. He gives me a little bump to get past. So sitting in 19th, there's now going to be a bit of a fight back this one, which is always a bit of fun, isn't it? And it's about just avoiding the chaos ahead, which often happens on street circuits. Just finding the gaps and feeding my way through them. As you see, I've made up a couple of positions. That guy taps me going through there, and I think I avoid a penalty because after he hits the wall, he comes back, hits me, and I hit the wall. Once again, another gap opens up. I take advantage of the slowing cars hitting the wall and the penalty. So after falling back to 18th, I quite quickly see myself in 15th, and two guys have to serve their penalties, so that puts me straight up to 13th. So 5 places in half a lap. And the way to fight back at this track is just to watch the other cars, especially if you're a faster driver and you know you're a faster driver. In your daily races you get quite a spread of cars, and you know, often I'm in the Oceania region, I'm top 5 in the daily races. So I know when I find myself out of position, it's just a matter of time before I find my way past the back end of the grid. And so it's knowing this, and knowing that I have the speed, not to do anything silly, just to position my car in a way that I'm not aggressively right up behind somebody, so if they make a mistake that I'm going to cop a penalty for it, but be close enough that when they do make a mistake I can move into the gap and take advantage of it and move up a place. So we're going 3 wide into this corner with the draft battle. The NSX doesn't have too bad straight line speed. I do know it is a little bit better on the brakes compared to the Lambo and the Corvette, so that was the goal, was just to brake later on the inside. He kind of stuck his nose up on the right there. I give him a bit of room, I give him the inside line just. I kind of react as I saw his nose kind of dart forward a little bit, and that could be lag or it could be him trying to brake late. But get a good run out of that corner, and if you position yourself well through the fast left and right, then they can't get past, and then you just got to nail these 2 corners. Currently, if you can nail probably one of the trickiest chicanes in the game, then you can often get a bit of a break. The car behind is blind going into that corner, and with the way the slipstream is at the moment, you do build up quite a bit of understeer. So if you've got a car that's quite handy through there, and you can take advantage, you know, you can take that corner quite quickly, then you can start to build a gap before you get to the end of the circuit, and that means they're not going to be able to sort of redraft you back down the huge main straight, which is always a problem. So I guess my theory, my goal around here is to get them into turn 1 and 2, and I'm actually quite fond of the better line out of turn 2 and attacking them down there on the exit of turn 2, heading back towards that chicane, and then building a gap past that chicane and following the next couple of very fast corners to try to build, you know, about a second or so on the car behind, which is not easy to do, to build up a second within half a lap. So then they can't sort of draft me back, and hopefully I've picked up the toe of the next group of cars up ahead. So as you saw in the middle of all that rambling, I picked up another 2 places. Once again, the one reliable thing about Tokyo is that somebody's going to make an error. 2 cars are going to battle in places they probably shouldn't, and they're going to take each other out or hit the wall. So being patient and just trying to drive a clean race is often the best way to move forward around this track and around, you know, street tracks where you've got no wiggle room and you can't afford to run wide. Coming up to the end of lap 3, I've now caught the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th just now. Alice in the Lamborghini, he's about to go deep into this next corner. So one thing, you just don't want to go too deep because then you spend all the time recovering it. I guess it can be kind of a strategy to go too deep, let the car behind overtake you and then pick up their slipstream to get them back into turn 1. But it doesn't work when you've got another car or 2 ahead of you, because I'm now just sitting in the slipstream of Koji just there, and the Lamborghini, who would be faster in a straight line than me, can't do anything about me because I'm picking up the toe of 6th and 7th and much faster down the straight than I normally would be. So that was an easy position. He just outbraked himself into that corner. I don't know if he was attacking or trying to defend heavily against me. I just took a normal racing line. I wasn't expecting to overtake him into that corner, but I ended up doing so and just positioned my car in the slipstream. But you see the Lamborghini behind me is coming up quite quick. I know I've got better brakes than him, just my experience in this track with the Lamborghinis in Group 4. So if I stick to the inside, I can cover him off in the brakes and just stick to an inside line. Don't run too wide to potentially hit him out into the wall, and just follow these 2 as quick as I can. I do enjoy getting a really good run off that second corner. It is a tricky wee corner with a blind sort of apex that you can get on the power very early on, and if you do it right and the car ahead doesn't quite do it right, you can get a good run on them through this section. But I wasn't that keen. It's not a great place to be, so I just back off, hold off a little through the chicane. I do give that Jaguar a bit of a tap, and that gives the Lamborghini behind me a bit of a run, because he was that far behind he could cleanly take that chicane. He's on my outside now, and he tries to go too wide through a corner you shouldn't go too wide in. He ran too wide himself and hit the barrier. I didn't touch him through there. I was actually quite worried that we were going to come together in the middle of that. You generally need 2 cars that are very cooperative and know what they're doing to go side by side through that fast right-hander, and it's probably never recommended thing to do. But anyway, getting a good run on the Jaguar. I really need to catch up to 6th place. I don't want to fall out of his draft, especially down this next straight. So outbraking the Jag into this corner. I expected to have better performance under braking and through the corner than the Jag, but then suffer on the straight. But I made up enough time to just get in the draft of the Lamborghini ahead. So once again, I'm somewhat protected from the Jaguar behind, and my sights are now set on the Lamborghini. Just got to position my car correctly to defend against him down into turn 1, if it comes down to it. Otherwise, concentrate on now 6th place. Unfortunately for me, Koji moved to the right, so moved to the inside, and I was just trying to stick in the Lamborghini's draft. And the Lamborghini moved over to the right when Koji was there, so it gifted Koji the slipstream and made me defenseless. So I fell back behind the Jaguar, heading into lap 5 if my memory serves me right. So as I said a lap ago, you don't really want to take that fast right-hander side by side, but Koji makes a bit of an error going through the fast chicane, and I get a great run on him. He goes defensive, which makes sense, and I just stick it around the outside. I give him just enough car's width to get through, and we get through that cleanly. I was so worried he was going to hit the barrier. In fact, looking at the replay, he does tap the barrier, but then he taps me afterwards, so I'd given him just a car's width to get through, and because of the order that he hit the barrier and then me, I didn't end up being gifted a penalty, so I was pretty happy with that. It was probably my first and only time that I've gone side by side through that corner. Normally I pull out, but I figured I was faster than the Jaguar. I thought he might suffer, and I guess also being on the outside, he's more likely to understeer into me, and therefore if he understeers into me and pushes me wide, I'll hit the wall and he'll get the penalty. So it's putting the driver on the inside between a rock and a hard place. Like, you either drive very cleanly or you're going to gift yourself a penalty just through the nature of understeering into the car on the outside. So basically being on the outside through that corner is very low risk. You know, you may come in contact with the wall, you may drop back a few tenths of the car ahead, but it's probably more often than not going to pay off for you. I probably shouldn't be advising this. The more I say it, the more convinced I am to do it more often. But you can often be around the outside of cars, on the outside of corners around cars, and if they tap you wide, then they're going to get the penalty based on the current penalty system. Where if it's the other way around, if you're on the inside, then you run the risk of hitting their car wide and then giving yourself a penalty. So yeah, I do feel a bit more comfortable overtaking cars around the outside. Anyway, as you saw, I broke into the first corner and he was much earlier on the brakes and caught me by surprise. I wasn't going for an overtake. I didn't expect to be anywhere near him, but I kind of ended up on the inside of him. I saw my car sliding a bit just as I was like, really worried that I was going to collect him and run into the wall. So I just managed to pull it up on the apex and not run too wide, and we got through there cleanly. He then makes an error going into the second corner, which gave me a nice run on the exit of the second corner, which meant I was past going through the fast left-right corners. And then, as I've been saying earlier, you get a good run through that left-right chicane, and you can start to make a bit of a gap. And I can barely see him in the rearview mirror now, so I was pretty happy with that. And JRS in 5th place is not that far up ahead. So we're almost back to where we started the race on lap 1. But that turned out to be the race. I could not quite get JRS at the end, could not quite catch his draft. He was just too quick and kept his distance from me, so I could not make it back up to 5th place. So not too bad overall. After effectively starting 18th after the second corner, battling, a little bit of luck, battling the way through back to 6th. It just takes a bit of patience around this track. You can almost guarantee cars are going to go off, cars are going to hit the wall, tap each other, and pick up penalties. So it's just a matter of watching the other cars, not being too close, but being close enough to react if or when something happens, and then pulling away as quickly as possible. Just being nice and clean. And heck, if the other drivers had the same thought pattern and concentrated on being clean and not hitting walls, then it would have been a lot more difficult for me to make up these places and get ahead of other drivers. So it's just something to note, something to take away, something to think about. That's what I like to do with my videos, you know, get your mind ticking over. But anyway, that's it for me. I hope you did enjoy what you saw. If you did enjoy it, give us a like, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to see these races live, I do them every Wednesday and Saturday on Twitch. The link is in the description below. But until next time, thank you for watching, and bye-bye.